New attacks, firing 2 missiles at the UAE on Tuesday. Trey Yingst from Tel Aviv, Israel, has the latest.
All of this taking place and the UAE responding, suspending all trade with Iran until further notice. Iran denied they were responsible for the missile attack. This does come as the war of words between the United States and Iran is ongoing, with no indication that a deal could be reached anytime soon. President Trump posted a Truth Social saying there are no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with the Islamic Republic of Iran. The naval blockade remains in full force and effect. The Hormuz Strait is open and operating. All water mines have been removed or detonated.
Florida's race for governor is officially set.
Congressman Byron Donalds winning Florida's GOP gubernatorial primary.
My administration will be guided by 3 pillars: making Florida accountable, achievable, and most of all, affordable.
Donalds, who is backed by President Trump, defeating challengers, including Florida Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins. He'll face former Representative David Jolly in November.
Voters are desperate for change. We are believing in each other, folks. I am begging you right now, believe in something better.
Jolly, a former Republican, defeating several challengers to secure the Democratic nomination for governor. The two are hoping to succeed term-limited GOP Governor Ron DeSantis. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A longtime Minnesota state trooper says voters are fed up with fraud and dysfunction and ready for a change. Chad Groening reports that is why he wants to unseat Ilhan Omar.
John Nagel is a Minnesota native who told Fox Digital that he believes his background gives him a unique opportunity to make the case against Democratic incumbent in Minnesota's deep blue 5th Congressional District.
I think the people of Minnesota have been lied to. They've had their money stolen. They want to see somebody that's going to come in and fix things. They're tired of being told the same old things. And Minnesotans, for the longest time, were in the dark because of the media not covering so many things. And things have gotten so bad, and people like Fox News, yourself, have come out, and the other media outlets have been forced into starting to look at things.
And Nagel says he is connecting with the Somali population.
I have yet to have anybody come up to me and tell me that she's great. If you look at Somalilanders who used to vote for her, they aren't voting for her anymore. And I'm telling anybody from that group, I'm willing to work with the Somalilanders as long as they love their country, they love their state, and they just want to have a normal life like everybody else and pay taxes and be what every other kind of immigrant has been. Somebody that comes here and then gives back and not just takes.
Unfortunately for Nagel, the Cook Political Report puts the race as solid Democrat with a plus 32 rating, making it a real uphill battle to flip. I'm Chad Groening.
And finally, working on airplanes is difficult enough. And now, John Saucier reports a new risk may have been identified.
A study by JAMA Internal Medicine finds flight attendants and pilots are at the highest risk of dying from radiation-related cancers. The study used national data for more than 12 million death certificates that included information about occupations. The authors looked at death rates from cancers that are tied to radiation exposures, including leukemia and lymphoma. Among the more than 500 occupations, flight attendants had the highest percentage of deaths from radiation-related cancers, and in second place were pilots.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty P.
Every day, AFA offers biblical insight on issues that others aren't willing to touch in the hopes that you'll become a world changer. That's why we're offering an in-depth worldview training course called Activate. 13 different professors teaching 18 sessions, all available online, including a printed workbook to help you apply what you've learned and 1-year access to AFA streaming content to give you even more resources. Find out more about Activate and sign up today at activate.afa.net.
Welcome to today's issues. Join us for the next hour as we offer a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Ed Vitagliano.
And welcome to today's issues. Ed Vitagliano sitting in for Tim Wildmon today. I am joined in the studio by Fred Jackson. Good morning, Fred.
Good day to you.
Wesley Wildmon.
And good morning.
And Chris Woodward. Good morning, Chris.
Hello. Thank you.
It is Wednesday, August 19th. And folks, you have 1 week before my birthday is here. My birthday is 1 week from today. All I'm asking all I'm asking for are your prayers. That's all I'm asking for. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do want your prayers, so I'm just teasing. I obviously do not expect, I don't expect my friends and coworkers here to do anything special for my birthday. Why should today be any different?
And you left out the year there, but 2026. But if you're still writing 2025 on your checks, at this point, just keep doing it. At this point, if it takes a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, and you're still writing.
Oh yeah.
The year of the previous year.
You know what? I gotta be honest. I've written one check this year.
Oh, okay.
And that was for my first visit from our air conditioning folks.
Yes.
And I thought everybody now comes to work, do work at your house, and they'll just take your debit card.
Yeah,
they have a little device. Well, they didn't. So they said, we take check or cash. And I said, well, I don't have the cash for that. So I wrote a check.
And you got the year right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
But it's weird, kind of weird remembering how to write out the amount in words.
That's it.
What do I do?
Yeah. That's,
what is this for?
But don't give them a blank check and tell them to fill it out for you, though.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
A new thing is Venmo. I had a guy come and do some work outside.
I don't think that's that new.
In our a newer thing. Because I was expecting to just pay this guy in cash, and he was like, just Venmo me.
Yeah.
I was like, I was not expecting to hear that from you, sir.
You're getting up into the older bracket of people.
Yeah, I told him to get off my lawn.
That you invited him to.
Younger people are all just do this, use Apple Pay, just do that, and I just go, I don't think I trust it, and that's just an old person talking. Yeah. So. Anyway, it is Wednesday, and we're gonna hit the news. We had our story meeting this morning.
We hit it hard.
We're going to hit it hard because there is stuff going on.
There sure is. Let's begin with Florida, where they had a primary yesterday for all kinds of seats. And when it comes to the gubernatorial race, or the governor's race, we have former Democrat turned Republican Byron Donalds squaring off this November with a former Republican turned Democrat David Jolly in a race for governor. The winner of the November race will replace Ron DeSantis, a Republican governor who's been there 2 terms and unfortunately is term limited. Here is Byron Donalds talking to media and praising or talking up Ron DeSantis to the media after his win. Clip 1.
As a Republican Party, we have set the standard here in Florida. Ron DeSantis has done a great job as governor, and it's about keeping the wins that he's brought to our state going forward, but also building for our future, making sure that we can balance the growth with our agricultural lands and our conservation areas, because Florida is the best state in America, and we're not going to stop anytime soon.
Well, listen, Fred, there's a lot of high hopes for Byron Donalds if he wins and becomes governor of Florida. He's only 47 years old. He could become a leading figure in the Republican Party.
Yep.
You got conservative credentials.
Mm-hmm.
He is a black conservative.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably he's not unique in that way in the Republican Party, but if you're going to draw more from the black community to the Republican Party, it helps to have a conservative black voice touting conservative ideas.
Exactly, and I think all Byron Donalds has to do is say, I'm going to continue on and do what Ron DeSantis has done.
Right.
If he says that, he's going to have a good night on election night. That's where he is. I mean, when you follow up with a governor who has done as well as DeSantis has done, that Florida is cooking.
Yeah,
it's cooking. You've got New Yorkers that are streaming down the East Coast to get away from Mamdani in
Right.
New York City, et cetera, et cetera. DeSantis very sharp. Byron Donalds very sharp. I think he'll have a good night in November. It's kind of interesting. Chris mentioned the Democrat challenger there is going to be David Jolly, who was a Republican who turned Democrat. And he is going to try to convince, in his speech, he tried to say, I'm pretty conservative too. I'm just going to read a little portion of what he had to say last night. He said he embraces capitalism and a lean government, but one that needs to do its part to fill the gaps such as education and housing. He calls himself an old school Republican. So what he had to say last night is shaping up what that campaign is going to be. Is that I'm not one of these, Jolly's going to say, I'm not one of these DSA people.
Right.
Although we are going to talk about what happened last night with one DSA candidate that's going to run for U.S. Senate. So Florida's going to be really interesting to watch on election night. But you're going to have two people, Byron Donalds and David Jolly. You're going to have two people that are going to sound similar in economic policy, celebrate capitalism, et cetera, et cetera. So Jolly, I think, is going to move further and further to the center, and with a few caveats in there to make him sound like a Democrat. But Byron Donalds, I think, is just going to say, I'm going to continue on with what Ron DeSantis has been doing the last several years.
Well, and Wesley, Byron Donalds is going to also say Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's going to say Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. And in Florida, that is going to be, those are two very popular names. To me, I would guess, as your dad says, if I were a betting man, this race is Byron Donalds to lose. But he's pretty politically savvy. I think even though Jolly is trying to sound almost like a Republican, I think those two names, Trump and DeSantis, are pretty potent stuff in that state.
It is, and I'm a little more familiar with Byron Donalds the last couple of days, knowing that this story was going to come up. Did you realize, it was new information for me, but he grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And so I'm wondering how much of his experience with a very deep blue state and a really deep blue city, how much that has impacted his worldview.
Because he was a Democrat, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
He was a Democrat, and
That's
you
right.
you get that sometimes. John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, he's made noises, and it sounds like it wouldn't take much to push him over the edge and either declare himself independent or maybe even become a Republican simply because of the whacked out ideas that he's trying to, put out like a fire that's spreading in the Democratic Party. So that's a good point. Who knows whether his experiences up in New York
has shaped his.
Yeah.
He also seems to be, from what I'm reading, seems to be really good on education, kids' education, public school education, and wanting to make that a priority for him. And we've talked about this yesterday on the program, just how far our education has, in not all districts, not all schools, but overall, the education is watered down and almost non-existent, and just pushing kids through in a lot of these big cities. And and he seems to be making a big deal that that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You talk about Byron Donalds?
Byron Donalds.
Yeah, his wife works for one of the education watchdogs, so I would be surprised if she didn't have some sort of education platform as a future First Lady of Florida, should he be elected this November. Now, it's very important that everybody pay attention to Florida and Ohio this year, because if those states end up electing Democrats to be governor or for the Senate and stuff like that, that I think spells doom for a J.D. Vance or a Marco Rubio should they decide to run for president in 2028, because their home states, which they would need to win to get to the White House, have flipped politically. So these things are important, even though you might live in Mississippi like we do or some other state. Everybody should pay attention to and care about the direction of states. And I use that to segue into this segment for the show. A Democratic Socialist candidate by the name of Angie Nixon is running for Senate in Florida.
Nixon, I think.
Yeah, excuse me. Thank you. I had it wrong on my sheet here. Angie Nixon is the Democratic Socialist candidate, and she is running in Florida here. So let's hear a little bit from the DSA, Angie Nixon, clip 2.
People are demanding change. They are tired of the billionaire and corporations running this country. They are ready for hardworking, everyday people to get to decide what their economies and communities look like.
Very, very. She took a page out of the El Sayed playbook there, or Bernie Sanders, or.
Well, Fred, this we're going to hear a lot of this kind of stuff, and not just this year, but going forward. This is going to be, and frankly, the reason why I think some of these DSA-backed candidates, when we mean the Democratic Socialists of America, it's an organization that promotes candidates. The reason they're having some success is that there are a lot of people out there that are feeling economically left behind. They are going to be susceptible to this kind of messaging and other messages that the DSA candidates are rolling out.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, as I think Chris was just pointing out. What happened in Florida last night with regards to this particular race for U.S. Senate is a pretty well a carbon copy of what happened in Michigan. The Democrat that was running against Angie Nixon was well liked, was endorsed by the Democrat Party, and spent. He had $16 million in his coffers. Angie Nixon had less than $1 million. All right, but she still won, and she won, I think, because for the same reasons that Abdul El-Sayed won in Michigan, tapping into mainly young people. We've talked about this before. Abdul El-Sayed, when he had his rallies up in Michigan, you saw a bunch of young people, university people, a lot of white females who have bought into the socialist way of, that philosophy. It was really interesting. Alex Vidman, who was her opponent last night in that Democrat primary, They thought the party establishment thought he was a shoo-in.
And he was the establishment candidate.
He was the establishment candidate. I think the only other thing to watch, I obviously didn't look in on the Ashley Moody celebration on her side of things last night, but I think she's doing a happy dance this morning.
Yeah.
You're going to have Ashley Moody, who was appointed by Ron DeSantis when Marco Rubio was appointed Secretary of State.
Right.
They needed somebody to fill Marco Rubio's shoes. Ashley Moody was moved into that, former Attorney General, very popular in Florida.
Yeah.
And she's done a great job up in Washington. So she's going to be completing that stay, Marco Rubio's stay. So I think I would be totally shocked if Ashley Moody doesn't have a fairly easy walk in this.
Because the establishment candidate for the Democrats, who Angie Nixon beat, was Alexander Vidman. You mentioned he's a former Army intelligence officer.
Yes,
you have somebody who served in the military. That's always a really good part of your credentials. If you're in a state like Florida or Texas. That's the kind of person that could have been a little bit more trouble for a Republican like Ashley Moody.
And Nixon, I'll tell you, she's every bit the Abdul El-Sayed playbook, DSA playbook. Does Florida really want that?
No.
She does not like Israel, accusing Israel of genocide. There's a fairly large Jewish population in Florida, especially in
Cuban population,
and Venezuelan.
Doesn't like socialists.
I know. So I
think she picked the wrong state, but that's my opinion.
It's going to be interesting to see what the party does with her.
Yeah, that's the conversation.
Do you want to start writing checks now for her campaign? Yeah. Because remember, this was a Democrat primary.
Yeah.
A Democrat primary is very different from a statewide election for a U.S. senator. So we'll keep an eye on this. But if I was a betting man, she's got an uphill climb.
Mm-hmm. Well, Wesley, this is another case in which the Democratic Party establishment, I'm looking at an article from The Guardian that calls this an upset. This is an upset win for Angie Nixon over the establishment candidate. This is becoming a pattern inside the Democratic Party. I think going forward, we talked about it, but more and more we see evidence this is a real civil war inside the Democratic Party, and who knows who's going to ultimately win.
Yeah, and this is these types of stories that lead me to believe that it's giving the Republicans a little more cushion. A little more cushion, because they have their own problems right now. They are not Not a lot, but there are a few things that as a Republican, when you voted for Trump, that you were expecting to get that you're not getting right now.
Right.
And that would otherwise be the top story for, except for you're having several DSAs winning, and then now the Democrats, like you said, have to decide pretty quickly how much they're going to go against them versus give them room, because there is money in play here. I mean, because for the mass of the Democrats that give to the Democratic Party, that money gets delegated out to DSAs. Yeah. Unless they get involved in that, and that's where the Civil War becomes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an excellent point. The Republicans do get some cushion here. I guess we'll wait and see whether that dissipates. But going forward, the Republican Party, because we're after this election, Fred,
we turned the corner.
We turned the corner, and we're looking at the last 2 years of Donald Trump's administration. He can't run again. Yeah. Then you start turning to, okay, well, who is going to succeed Donald Trump? What is the message going to be? What are the policies going to be? There's going to be a fight over how many. Are we going to go back to wars? We're still in a war in Iran. What are we going to do to bring down the price of everything, which is one of the messages that got Donald Trump elected in 2024. A lot of stuff going on here, and to Wesley's point, the victory of these radical DSA agents I feel like they're agents, secret agents. It really does cloud the picture for the Democrats and give the Republicans some breathing room. What do they do with it?
Well, I think what the Democrats are trying to do right now, and if you watch Fox and some of these other programs, they invite Democrats on to, and they're always asked, the Democrats, what about your DSA candidate? How can you support this guy? Is it a detriment to your party? And they tried to deflect right away. It's really interesting to watch. They go to their set of talking points right away.
Yeah.
They do not want to talk about Abdul El-Sayed, and they don't want to talk about Miss Nixon, Angie Nixon down there in Florida.
Because these candidates are popular with young people.
Exactly.
The Democrats can't say anything that's going to drive those voters away.
Exactly. So they can't. And, as was said, Haley Stevens in Michigan, she came right away. She was running against Abdul. I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to campaign for him. I'm sure Vitamin, if he hasn't said it already, will say, I'm going to help Nixon get.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter, because the Republicans are just going to point, and they don't have to exaggerate.
Right.
Republicans do not have to exaggerate how radical these people are. And the reality is, these people, the DSA people, have found a home in the Democratic Party.
Yep.
There is a reason for that, because the Democratic Party has been moving in their direction.
Yes.
All right?
Starting with the 2020 race.
Yes.
When they got Bernie Sanders to step aside for Joe Biden, I'm guessing promises were made to this side of the party.
Yeah. Now, for the Republicans, the Achilles heel continues to be Iran.
Yeah.
They've got to decide. The president has to decide pretty soon what he's going to do to take that off the table. Because if we're still there, and the Iranians are still putting out mines and blowing ships up, and they got the Houthis involved, and their proxies that are involved. If all of that is still going on near Election Day, that's going to be a problem.
Yep.
And the prices of gas and groceries have got to start coming down.
And stay down.
The American people have to see that.
And I'm not sure there's enough time. Frankly, we're here. I mentioned August 19th. We are less than 3 months away, 2.5 months or whatever from the midterms. I'm not sure there's enough time, even if we got out of Iran right now, for the voters' minds to change.
And I got depressing viewpoints on this, or cynical. I think if we were going to pull out, we would have already done it. I think, unfortunately, he's going to get this one wrong, continue to get this one, he meaning the President Trump and his administration. I think they're going to continue to get this one wrong, unfortunately. But it goes back to, if the DSAs weren't involved in the Democratic Party and winning, then I think it would be a pretty big blow because of the war to the Republican Party. I think it'll be a little closer now because of that. I think it kind of offset itself a little bit from a political standpoint.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and let me just say this one last thing, and you guys can, tell me what you guys think. As we move past the midterms, I was talking earlier about the Republicans have some decisions to make. If you're gonna run for president, I think the war has been polling is clear, very unpopular amongst even Trump supporters. Yeah. Okay, you've got to be careful because President Trump is still hugely popular amongst Republicans, and especially MAGA. Okay, so if you're a J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, whoever else is going to throw their hat in the ring, Fred, I'll toss it to you first. You've got to decide, what am I going to say about forever wars? And do I criticize President Trump? Because then you risk the ire. Then you've got your kind of a mirror problem with the Democrats. You can't afford to anger your ground troops, which right now are MAGA voters. You can't alienate them, just like the Democratic Party establishment can't alienate young voters who support socialists.
The ball is in President Trump's court. He has to make that decision on Iran. It will be a mistake if a decision is not made and we get ever closer to 28.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that the president has to make a decision before Labor Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a new deadline.
Yes.
No, seriously.
Well, how many weeks? Is that 2 weeks away?
Yeah, a couple of weeks away.
2.5.
You have to come out and say, we are now satisfied that they don't have a nuclear capability. We are satisfied. Our intelligence tells us we've stung them badly on that front. We are going to continue, and I would suggest an announcement about some kind of international force, Saudis, Qataris, getting together with the United States to ensure that there is passage through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
Then you're going to see gas prices go down. Gas prices go down, groceries follow that. But that has to be done, I believe, in September, say Labor Day. But I think he has to make that decision, because if he doesn't, and this continues to drag on, this becomes a real liability for 2028.
Yeah.
If you leave it up to the candidate for 2028, whether it's the vice president or whether it's Marco Rubio or somebody else, you leave it up to them to decide, that is going to be a problem for
that puts them in a pickle.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So he needs to clean up the mess, President Trump, to make it clean for whoever's ever going to run.
Because Marco Rubio, let's say it's Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance, even if they start to say, well, we're going to stop with the forever wars, I'm just using it as a label, the media will question them. So do you disagree with what President Trump did? And now you're having to dance.
Yes.
And like you said, you want that to be cleaned up before folks have to declare for 2028.
Yep.
All right, when we come back, Abraham Hamilton III will be on with us, and he's the host of the Hamilton Corner. And we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Abe will be in the house. Hello, I'm Ed Vitagliano. Did you know that this show is listener-supported? Without people like you, this show would not exist. That's why we need you. A generous monthly gift of any amount will help sustain American Family Radio, specifically this show, as we reach thousands of people each week with biblical truth. Please consider becoming a monthly financial partner today by visiting afr.net/give. That's afr.net/give.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
One of the great surprises about God which I've learned to look for is His unobtrusiveness. We make all our plans concerning the coming of God, how God is supposed to act in history, what He is supposed to do. Then, when we have it all figured out, how He is supposed to come and act, we find Him doing exactly the opposite. God did this at Bethlehem. Certainly no one expected God to break into history in such a manner as that. A carpenter father, a peasant mother, and a manger for a crib. Everyone knew that God would come in a manner worthy of God, and the whole world would bow down to him. But he did not, and they did not. God did this again in Joseph's carpentry shop in Nazareth. One who had such an important task as Jesus should surely receive better training than that afforded him at the local synagogue, and more advantages than those of a common carpenter. And because he was only the son of a local carpenter, the people in the synagogue drove him out of town. They knew that no carpenter's son could be the Messiah. If only God would act like God, then we common folk wouldn't have such a hard time recognizing him. We look for God in the great and powerful, but he comes in the small and humble. I worshiped once at the St. George Anglican Church in Jerusalem. It was a high church, very formal worship service. The music was beyond reach of the common person. The minister spoke above my level of comprehension. In general, it was a situation devoid of the things we generally associate with a warm service. But as I sat in that pew, a group of children passed by on the way to their seat. It was a group of half-blind children leading those who were totally blind to a seat where they could worship God. And I felt the greatness and grandeur of God when those children walked by. We look for God in the great and mighty, and he comes in the love of poor blind children. Truly the prophet was right when he wrote, "Your ways are not my ways, neither are your thoughts my thoughts." What is it about God which captivates us? It is he who was able to call legions of armies to his aid, chose instead to enter Jerusalem as a penniless prophet riding on the back of a donkey. He did not come on a great white stallion with sword in hand and fists doubled, ready to strike the first one who stepped in his path. But he came as a preacher of peace, with no uniform, but the seamless robe of a peasant, and no power over men, except the power given him in each individual heart. This is one of the great surprises of God, his unobtrusiveness. Look for him, if you wish, in the big and the high and the mighty and the great. But if you want to find him, then you must search for him in the least and the last and the lost.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Greece and Italy. We're going there in the spring of 2027. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. My sons, Walker and Wesley, are going to be leading a tour of Greece, which includes many of the sites found in the book of Acts, where Paul traveled. And then we call that the footsteps of Paul. And then we're going to Italy. By we, I mean Allison, my wife, and I are leading a group to Italy to see the sights of that great country, including Rome. We're going to visit Rome, and that'll take a couple, 3 days to see all that's in Rome. And so we're going to visit the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, Michelangelo, you may have heard of him. He was a slightly better than average artist. So we're going to be going there. If you want all the information on our tours of Italy and Greece, go to tours.afa.net. That's tours.afa.net.
Our help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Psalm 121, verse 2.
This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
And welcome back. Ed Battagliano sitting in for Tim Wildmon today. Joined in studio by Fred Jackson and Wesley Wildmon. And Chris, nephew of Bob Woodward.
Only when it gets me somebody on the phone.
You're not really related to
No,
Bob
I don't.
Woodward.
I don't think. Ironically, I do have a great uncle, I think, named Bob, but it's not that Bob.
It's not.
Yeah.
Not that. What about Bob?
Yeah.
And then Abraham Hamilton III is in studio with us, host of the Hamilton Corner, heard weekdays at 5 p.m. Central Time on American Family Radio. Abe, this is the second week in a row you're in studio with us.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so we have a couple of I think, important legal stories to talk about. Otherwise, we wouldn't bring them up. Not that we're averse to talking about stuff that nobody cares about. We do that sometimes. So Chris set up the first story for us. So we want to talk a little bit about Meta.
Yes.
You better explain who that is.
Yes.
And then talk about the case. I think you have some sound, and then we'll get Abe's take on this.
Bob's wife.
Yeah.
It's Meta.
Yeah.
Meta.
All right. So Meta is the company that owns Facebook and Instagram and other social media apps. Mark Zuckerberg is the founder and the CEO of Meta, which again is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. The reason we're talking about this is because yesterday in Oakland, California, in a federal court, a case brought by a bipartisan coalition of state attorneys general, they've taken Meta to court claiming that Meta has contributed to the addiction of young people on social media. And to make matters worse, the attorneys general, including Republican Attorney General Russell Coleman of Kentucky, say that Meta knew about the problem and didn't do anything about it. They may have actually taken steps to get kids more hooked on Facebook or Instagram, social media in general. I do have some audio here of Russell Coleman, again a Republican, as part of this coalition. Clip 6.
We are going after the addiction machine that is TikTok, the preferred platform for predators that is Roblox or Character AI. This is a narcissistic program that hurts our kids. Absolutely. We're going to go. We in law enforcement, we go to where the threats are. And social media is the threat to our kids. It's the opioid fight of our generation.
A lot of people have also compared this to something that happened in the 90s where states took on big tobacco and got a huge settlement. Penalties for this case could top over $1 trillion, but Coleman, Attorney General Rob Bonta of California, and others say they're really just trying to get Meta to change their policies.
Okay. So, Abe, I have no idea, really. I haven't polled the panel. I have not talked to you about this. I personally have a problem with using addiction language for problems that stem from a lack of accountability or responsibility. I don't know how to put it. While I am sympathetic to the frustration of parents and the fear the parents, the anxiety the parents may feel about social media swallowing up their kids. So start with the legal angle here, if this is a wise or a wise approach. And then you're a pastor, you're a father, you know, how many kids you have? 6 kids? 6 kids. Then tell us your pastoral parental view on these kind of issues.
Yeah. Oh, man. I have lots of thoughts. And I think it should be pointed out that this lawsuit that's currently pending in Oakland follows a previous lawsuit earlier this year where the young lady's acronyms were used as a plaintiff, KGM. First name is Kaylee, where she sued initially TikTok, Snapchat, Meta, and Google for YouTube for personal injury for mental distress, body dysmorphia, and other things. And she won $4.2 million in combined compensatory and punitive damages from Meta and $1.8 million from YouTube. And there's another lawsuit.
She won?
She won, yes. Mm-hmm. And she's 20 years old at the time of the lawsuit. But the allegations, based on her own testimony, is that she started using social media when she was 6 years old, spending hours and hours and hours on social media, using the features, using the filters to hide her insecurities and all of these things. While I am, as you mentioned, I'm a parent. I live in this world. We're fighting the tech beast like everybody else. But I'm very concerned about what you said, using litigation to address an accountability issue. I have a problem with a child that's 6 years old being allowed to be on social media for hours a day.
Right.
And then when she's negatively affected by it, the parents end up getting a financial windfall and not dealing with the accountability aspects of it. I do believe that, being in the free market as a corporation, you should employ responsibilities, you should do certain things. And I do believe that these companies are a bit different from like Roblox and other places, which, my children are not allowed to use Roblox. Right. Because having learned about the things that they do, I'll go a little bit further. My children don't have cell phones, which I've said before that it's not a phone, it's a pocket rocket supercomputer.
Yeah.
That most people don't even use to call. And so the thing I'm concerned about is this is indicative of our accountability-less society, to where when we have problems, we're looking for somebody external to blame and then want to be compensated for it instead of, not letting our 6-year-olds scroll for hours on social media.
Am I oversimplifying it when I say it feels to me like this is criminalizing the word addiction? Because you could slap this on anything, because if there's a criminal activity done on social media, if you send a death threat, you're gonna get in trouble for that. But how can you? I just don't see how you can criminalize someone who is willfully doing something that they know that their actions in and of themselves is not criminal.
Yeah. Well, it's civil, so it's not criminal.
Okay.
So money is only on the table.
Okay, I got you.
And so the main distinctions: criminal issues deal with if you're in violation, you lose your liberty, freedom. Civil is money damages. And I do think there's space to require corporations to operate responsibly. If you know these things exist, are you creating your product to retain attention and to do all of these different things? I do think fail-safes need to be put in place to protect children. I agree with that. But you know what the primary God-ordained fail-safe is to protect children? Parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Parents. I don't think corporations should be allowed to run wild and be irresponsible. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But where is the accountability for us? And I'm concerned that this is rewarding it. And because of the KGM lawsuit, there are lawsuits all over the country right now over this. And AG Bonta is saying, oh, we don't really want $1.4 trillion in damages. We'll probably end up around $200 billion. But this is one case.
Yes.
And there are thousands of cases pending all over the country.
Let me put this in boomer terms, okay? So some of the baby boomers will understand exactly what you guys are saying about parents being the first stopgap. So when I was probably 4 years old, maybe, my parents, my mom caught me chasing my sisters around, well, one sister at that time, around the house with a hammer because I'd seen it on the Three Stooges. Okay, I'm dead serious. Nyuk, 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 nyuk. I'm running, with a hammer to hit because I saw them hit each other with hammers and nobody got hurt. Mm-hmm. My parents banned me from watching the Three Stooges. They said, well, this is negatively affecting our idiot son who's chasing his sister with a hammer.
At 18 years old? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So they banned me from watching it. And because parents are responsible. What would have happened if they turned around and sued whoever, I forget who produced the Three Stooges, and said, well, it's your fault. Because my son learned the wrong lesson.
That's the concern I have with this is that where does this stop if you redefine or add to the simple definition of addiction? I mean, because I can't stop going back to the popcorn machine because that salt on there tastes really good, but I keep going back. But at some point, I can stop, but I can't hide behind addiction.
Maybe you have a case against Orville Redenbacher.
I'm considering it for that kind of money.
Yeah, I mean, in the KGM case, she sued because she said the social media companies and YouTube caused her personal injury, including body dysmorphia and thoughts of self-harm. That's what she argued, and she was compensated for that. And that's what these attorney generals are doing. And again, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not if Meta and others have evidence that this isn't addictive, they need to put various things in place. But I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say, well, we're not really here for money. We really want Meta to make changes.
Yeah.
Well, then why are you suing for money if you want them just to make changes?
Right.
Why not work with them to implement the changes that you think need to be made instead of saying, hey, by the way, we're going to have this coalition of 29 attorneys generals.
Yeah.
And we all want to get our forks into a small pot of $200 billion.
Yeah. All right, let's go. We don't want to keep Abe the whole time. Let's throw this second story his way.
In other news, ABC has taken the rare step of suing the Federal Communications Commission on First Amendment grounds, saying the FCC's demand for early review of its broadcast licenses pose an existential threat to the network. A little bit of background here. The Trump administration doesn't like how it's been treated by ABC. It doesn't like what some people on ABC are saying. And as a result of that, the FCC, which has people appointed by President Trump and other presidents on the FCC, the FCC is saying, hey, we're going to consider pulling your broadcast license. So what do you think about ABC's claim that this is a threat?
So, Abe, how is this different? You know, we complained about the Biden administration weaponizing the federal government.
We did more than complain. We sued them.
Yeah. So are we wrong to – I can't believe I'm saying this. Are we wrong? I'll say I don't know what everyone else thinks. Am I wrong to say I'm siding with ABC on this one?
Well, this is where you have to distinguish public relations from the actual core of the investigation, because Disney is attempting to say this is a First Amendment issue. But if you actually look into what the FCC is looking into, they're querying Disney concerning their DEI policies that they've been operating within over a year. They're not doing anything concerning the First Amendment. It has nothing to do, from the FCC side, nothing to do with content regulation. It has
is that right?
That's exactly right. That's why it's like Disney has lawyers that are very smart, and they know that they can win a PR campaign by saying that this is nothing more than a First Amendment challenge, or this is a veiled effort to crush us because of viewpoint discrimination, things of that nature, while they represent kind of absurd things like saying The View is a news program, a hard news program. Really? But the query, and I'm not, I'm a constitutionalist. I'm not a big government. I'm suspicious of government action generally. That's my disposition. And I maintain that suspicion now, but I think it's disingenuous for Disney to say that what the FCC is attempting is to cause them to change the content of their broadcast.
All right, so what is the core of the investigation / challenge?
Yes, the core of the investigation is because federal law under the Trump administration made changes concerning DEI policies, and for the previous year, there were allegations that Disney has been violating that in terms of their inner workings and how they're operating internally as a corporation. And the FCC is seeking to review that before they renew their licenses.
Okay.
Now, again, there still could be some untoward things going on, but it's a little bit of bait and switch in terms of what's happening in the public discourse, because Disney, I think shrewdly so, is trying to say, they just don't like what we say. The Trump administration just doesn't like us. They don't like what we say. This has nothing to do with anything else. When the FCC is like, you've completely mischaracterized what we're doing here. We're saying you guys have been violating federal law in terms of your internal DEI operations in violations of federal law.
Okay, so let me just ask one additional thing, and then we'll let you go. And this is why we have you on, to help us work through these legal issues. So when you say the DEI, are you talking about the policies in terms of hiring or slapping a muzzle on people who work at ABC and don't want to be forced to say X, Y, or Z?
The latter. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely right. The latter. Those who don't want to be compelled to convey certain messages because the bosses are saying that we have to satisfy this various quota and all these other kind of things. That's what the FCC is querying. Now, you could still make some challenges and questions on that front, but it's disingenuous to say that the query that the FCC is involved in is specifically concerning their First Amendment freedoms. That's not what's on the table at all.
That's good. That is good to know. That is helpful information. Abe, before we let you go, anything you want to let your listeners know in advance, stuff you're going to be covering?
Not necessarily. I'm going to dig in a little bit more on these meta lawsuits, because There was another case in New Mexico where a $576 million verdict was rendered.
These are huge numbers, man.
These are huge numbers. And a little behind the scenes information. I hate to say this, but this is true. A lot of this is driven by plaintiffs' attorneys.
Yeah.
They're looking for big wins. Like in the KGM case, Snapchat and TikTok settled out of court. People don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So the $4.2 million jury award and the $1.8 million jury award are in addition to what was already settled for out of court with Snapchat and TikTok. And so that kind of thing has led the floodgates to be opened, and now you have plaintiffs' attorneys that kind of sense chum in the water, and they're trying to get their portion of these billion-dollar corporations.
I have a quick question. So in addition to this trial that just kicked off yesterday in Oakland, in the near future, there is a film coming out called The Social Reckoning, which follows Facebook engineer Frances Hogan as she teams up with a Wall Street Journal reporter to leak internal documents that aim to show senior leadership ignored platform harms to teen mental health and fueled political violence. So at a time this is playing out in public court, the court of public opinion is going to get the Meta is Bad movie from Hollywood. Does that...
I'm sure it's all coincidental, Chris.
Yes, yeah. Does that run the risk of influencing the judge, who is an Obama appointee, by the way?
To act as if judges are not human beings and not subject to societal pressures is to ignore the reality of the human condition.
Yeah.
Those things will have an impact. How much of an impact? It remains to be seen. And it is true that judges are supposed to be, objective and not swayed by external pressures. But it would be a bit naive to suggest there's not somebody out there that we're willing to say, yes, these evil big corporations, including those that are like these social media corporations that's hooking all of our children on this addictive social media, which gives a convenient out from parents, unfortunately, to say I probably should do something different than allow my child to sit 6 hours a day scrolling with the infinite scroll.
Agree.
Again, not dismissing responsibility. You have evidence that you know this is addictive. You need to make adjustments. You need to make internal controls. But I think a worse communication, in my estimation, is that it's allowing an expansion of the unfettered lack of accountability that's rife in our society.
Okay.
I know we need to wrap this up, but I still have the marketing. I went to business school. The whole idea is to try to get people's attention. So I don't understand how there can be any legal, but apparently there are. But I just don't think there should be. I don't think you should punish it, and I think it should be on the parents saying that particular. Let's use one, Instagram. That as an example. That one is more addicted than these. Therefore, this one's excluded and this one. The parents should be navigating through that. Obviously, individually, I'm with you. There's none. my kids are 10 and under, so that's not an option. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
But I'm having a hard time legally seeing that this is being a thing.
Because advertising,
it's the whole
what's
point.
the difference between this and advertising?
Yeah, and it's like advertising to get you to use the product. They're arguing now, since they're using the product, you're causing people to be addicted to your product. And that's the loaded term they're using, addicted to the product. And there's some indications that some of these companies were aware of some of these things that were happening.
Okay.
They either they were not forthcoming about them, they did not explain them properly. And all of that is legitimate worth being challenged and questioning. But I still think we're missing a huge component. If you're going to have a negligence case, there's a concept called contributory negligence that would minimize the type of damage recovery you can get, because if I sue you for being negligent, but you can show, but I was negligent too, that's going to reduce the scope of what I will recover in the event that the negligence combined end up harming me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Personal responsibility is what I like.
I mean, it's just unfortunate, but that we're at this place. I think it's a bigger problem, bigger than what the social media companies are doing. It's a bigger problem that we have parents that are allowing children to be on devices for
I think some parents
hours
are afraid of the confrontation with their kids once they have opened that barn door and the horses escaped. I'm mixing metaphors.
Probably so, but again, that's a problem that precedes the other things.
Yeah.
By the way, breaking news, after saying on the air that he was kind of understanding where ABC was come from, Ed has been invited to co-host The View tomorrow with Whoopi.
Well, hey, that's a hard news.
We'll have audio on Friday TI.
That's a hard news show. We'd love to host the hard news View. All right, Abe, before we think of something else to ask you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being on.
See ya.
Well, folks, that's why we have specialists on the program sometimes to help the lay person to sift through some of these issues. So make sure you listen to Abraham Hamilton III, host of the Hamilton Corner. You can hear him today at 5 p.m. Central Time, and then tomorrow and Friday, every weekday, you can listen to Abe. We're blessed to have him.
Yes.
All right, next story. We still have a few minutes here in your segment.
This one may actually result in a conversation that carries past the break, so do stick around, listeners. Just as Democrats have a problem with Democratic socialists, the Republican Party may want to have a conversation with the people advising Senator Darlene Graham. She was appointed to fill in for her brother after he passed away unexpectedly, how many ever weeks ago. And last night, during a debate with other Republicans that want to fill his seat in the long term, Darlene Graham was asked this question about national security. Clip 14.
Senator, are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? If so, why?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States, and if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security, but I do support the military.
Okay, Fred. Oh. Now listen, I'm sure her name's Darlene, right?
Darlene Graham.
You don't have to do this. We know she's a good person.
Okay.
I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest. That may be one of the worst answers I've ever heard in a debate. She's done.
Yeah.
There's no recovering from that.
I don't know how you recover from that.
I just found out about this morning, and I was sitting in my chair like at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I winced.
It's 6 a.m.
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Did you have to play it back?
Well,
like, wait a minute.
No, I read it first,
and
then Chris found the audio of this.
That's worse, having to read that.
And, Joe Biden came to mind.
Yeah.
It was a Joe Biden moment.
Yeah.
And here you are, bless her heart.
Yes.
She's a nice lady.
Yeah.
She really is. She was appointed to that President Trump after Lindsey Graham, her brother, died suddenly.
Yeah.
She was appointed to that,
It's a way to honor Lindsey Graham.
To honor her. The story is compelling. He helped bring her up, all of it. It's a wonderful story, family story. And then the governor of South Carolina appointed her to fill in.
Yeah, rest of his term.
Because Lindsey Graham had won the earlier nomination.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, what about her handlers? Normally people who are going to debates practice a bit.
Yeah.
And she was around Lindsey Graham. National security was his bivouac.
Yeah.
And to come up and say at the debate, I'm really not up on this.
For Taiwan, that's a major issue.
I know it was a bad night. It's a bad response. It likely will cost her greatly.
Yeah.
If that's not on a campaign ad today, Ralph Norman's people have done it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, it will be. Yeah.
Listen, this is going to be one of those moments that people replay for years to come. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Missionaries are going into all the world to make disciples, and Exploring Missions is going with them.
Radio crosses those borders, so radio is not only not of the devil, it's a great tool to get to those unreached people groups.
Exploring Missions with Bert and Nathan Harper, Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. and Sundays at noon Central on American Family Radio.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. U.S. intelligence experts reporting North Korean operatives are applying for American remote IT jobs, and many are getting hired at major companies.
North Korean operatives are also deploying artificial intelligence to help them get through interview questions and get remote jobs with American companies. North Korea is one of the most heavily sanctioned countries in the world. It needs the money. Earlier this year, the Treasury Department said these IT worker schemes fund North Korea's weapons of mass destruction program, bringing in $800 million in 2024. These North Korean IT workers are also hiring Americans to stand in on interview. The federal government is going after U.S.-based laptop farms, seizing funds, and urging companies tighten up your remote hiring checks.
That's Rich Edson reporting. Congressman Byron Donalds winning the Republican primary for governor in Florida. He's set to go head-to-head with Democrat nominee David Jolly. Donalds previously proposed debates with Jolly, who responded, quote, "Get through your primary and we'll talk." And Donald says he's ready for those debates.
I'm ready to go anytime. That's really more up to David Jolly whenever they're going to let him out of the box. But I'm more than ready, willing to go.
In Georgia, police rescued a toddler and a baby after their babysitter kidnapped them. Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
Atlanta police have released dramatic body cam video showing the rescue of two young girls allegedly abducted by their babysitter. According to arrest warrants, the FBI used cell phone ping technology to track the babysitter's phone to an apartment complex, but it was a low-tech signal, a baby's cry, that led police to a trailer on the property. Officers forced their way inside. Investigators say the trailer was dirty and had no air conditioning, but the 4-year-old girl and her 11-month-old sister appeared to be in good health. Police arrested 42-year-old Lakeisha Brown. She faces 2 counts of kidnapping and 2 counts of first-degree cruelty to children. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Legal groups are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to strike down a Texas law that requires public school classrooms to display the Ten Commandments.
More than 24 Texas families petitioned the High Court after a federal appeals court upheld the statute in April. Texas wants posters of the Ten Commandments be displayed in public school classrooms. Opponents argue the displays violate the separation of church and state by imposing scripture on classrooms. But supporters say the law rests on solid historical and legal ground. Attorney Jeremy Dice of First Liberty says the regulated displays acknowledge the country's legal foundation rather than attempting religious conversion.
When the law was passed, I think both here in Texas and in the state of Louisiana, the legislature went to pains to observe that the presence of the Ten Commandments has been with us from the very beginning. And if it's good enough to hang in several places in the Supreme Court of the United States, including facing the justices as they hear arguments, then it would certainly be worth our consideration within our public schools.
Opposition groups are relying on a 1980 Supreme Court precedent that struck down a similar classroom display in Kentucky, but Dice argues that older standard has been overruled by recent high court decisions.
They keep on citing this case that relies entirely upon Lemon as if it has anything to do, it has any more legal force and effect anymore. It doesn't, and we cannot allow that ghoul that Justice Scalia referred to it so many years ago as to be resurrected here or to be trotted out as if it's good law anymore.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Florida carries out its 13th execution this year. Gary Baumgarten has more.
61-year-old William Francis Sylvia, convicted of shooting his estranged wife to death and wounding his mother-in-law in 2006, given a 3-drug lethal injection. His last words, a priest by his side, was that the killing was an accident. But court records show that after he barged into a family picnic at the mother-in-law's house in a failed attempt to win a reconciliation, Sylvia went back to his truck, retrieved a shotgun, and shot both women. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
And U.S. stocks are ticking higher today after the U.S. Treasury Department said it will buy more U.S. government bonds in a move that eased pressure on the financial markets. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
AFA Action takes attacks on the family seriously. The enemies of the family constantly employ new tactics to try to sneak past our radar. They know if we stand together, their evil plans will fail. Your gift to AFA Action allows us to stay vigilant against their onslaught. And if you give this month, you'll receive access to the Cultural Institute video When Your Faith is Illegal by Frank Harbor on AFA Stream as our thanks. You can make your gift today at afaaction.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Ed Vitagliano.
And welcome back, everybody. For those of you just joining us, welcome to the show. For those of you who have come back for the third segment of today's issues, welcome back to you. Ed Vitagliano sitting in for Tim Wildmon today, joined in studio by Fred Jackson and Wesley Wildmon. And then, as per usual, we welcome in Steve Paisley-Jordahl. And Steve, welcome.
Come back for the third? I mean, there's people that join us for the third segment.
That's true. That is absolutely, that's true. Now, you do have a Paisley shirt. Yeah. Is this new one?
No.
Okay.
No, I've had this while. I don't, I rotate them.
You do? Okay.
Keep you guessing.
Yes, keep
everybody guessing.
I don't know that I've seen that one, so
Yeah.
it must not have been one of my days when, just one of those days.
I got Paisley. I got Paisley shirts, man.
You got Paisley.
Yeah, I got
do you usually get your shirts from the same place or a variety of places?
I look online. And my buying habits are such that now I'm fed a whole lot of places on my it comes up. I see ads all the time now for Paisley stuff.
Are you serious? Oh, because you search for Paisley shirts.
Well, because I bought one. Okay, like here's a site. Look at this. This is.
But how do they know you don't just like shirts with a black background?
Well, they don't. But they know. Okay, so this is a company. I'm not going to name what it is, but I got a text from them Saturday. Tuesdays, Sunday, yesterday. I haven't got one yet today, but
wow.
They keep sending me stuff because
Paisley
not
stuff?
necessarily. It's just
Bright colored
shirts.
Bright colored shirts.
Yeah,
Because I bought a bright
not
colored shirt.
traditional shirts. I mean, not your standard.
This is one that I actually bought from them.
This
But
makes
it doesn't matter.
really good radio,
Yeah,
too,
doesn't
by
it?
the way.
I know.
Hey, look at this, guys. All right, for you folks listening, just a picture in your mind's eye. All right, Steve, let's get to the actual news.
All right. We talk a lot about the encroachment of artificial intelligence on this culture that we are getting ready for a whole revolution. All of this artificial intelligence takes computers, takes computing powers. You have to put buildings full of computers together in order to get this wonder that we call artificial intelligence. And for those, we require data centers. Well, there's a whole lot of argument going on. There's a lot of not in my backyard-ism going on about these data centers. And some people think they're good. Some people think they're not. They might use more energy, might cause your energy to go up. Anyway, Fred, we've got a couple people inputting on this.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders and AOC and some of the other on the left, basically they would like to block these data centers because they're worried about energy costs. They're worried about the water that has to be used to cool these machines down, et cetera, et cetera. So here's a little bit of Senator Bernie Sanders, Cut 11.
We are announcing legislation to impose a moratorium on the construction of new AI data centers until strong national safeguards are in place.
They are racing to construct thousands of giant AI data centers and jacking up the utility costs of everyday Americans to pay for it.
I stand with local and state elected officials saying that we cannot approve any more of these until we have federal level guardrails.
All right.
Who's that last voice?
That was Abdul El Sayed.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So you had those are three voices from the left. They're warning that these AI centers need to be studied a bit more, very dangerous because they're going to use up so much electricity. They're going to raise the electrical bill for you and me and everybody else.
Right.
So to respond to that, Fox and Friends this morning had on one of their Fox News specialists, business specialist, Lou Bassanese is his name. And this was his response to what he considers Bernie Sanders, AOC, and El Sayed crying wolf and misleading people about the alleged dangers of these data centers. Cut number 12.
I think this is a grave mistake. This is a national security issue that's turning into a local zoning issue. And I don't know anyone, if you've ever been to a homeowners meeting that's run well, they never are. And now we're putting politicians in charge of a technology that very few of them ever understand. And it's moving too fast. And I would tell you, we've been here before, right? Remember 5G and cell towers? Nobody wanted them in their backyard, but they wanted 5 bars of coverage. Same thing here playing out with data centers. People are afraid of what's going to happen. They talk about the cost, but here's the funny thing. When it talks about water usage, your local Olive Garden uses as much water as an average data center. So I don't hear anyone opposing Olive Garden on their water usage and bill going up. They should, because it's not real Italian food.
Okay, to the Italian. This is why you wouldn't let me listen to this clip in our story meeting.
Rabbit trail.
Okay. A lot to unpack here. First of all, an unnecessary swipe at Olive Garden. It is Italian food. It's not the greatest Italian food in the world.
But it is an attempt at Italian food.
It's an attempt at Italian food. Now, my mom and dad would be very disappointed in what I just said. Okay, defending Olive Garden, but it's not bad. My wife likes it. We go. They have some decent pasta. Why am I talking about this? You guys baited me into this. This is not about Olive Garden.
We can go back to my shirts if you want.
So, here I am trying to finesse my way through the Olive Garden. We have one locally.
We weren't going to save you. We
No.
were just sitting back.
I know.
Literally eating popcorn right now.
Yeah. You're literally eating popcorn, watching me fumble my way through the. We have a local restaurant here in Tupelo, Mississippi, which is our headquarters for American Family Association and for American Family Radio. So I don't want to disparage them.
I enjoy their food.
Yeah.
One of the charges that I'm hearing is that those that are opposing these data centers.
Whoa. We're talking about Olive Garden. What's your opinion on Olive Garden?
I love Olive Garden.
All right. Now we can move on. Okay. Let me ask you, Steve, because you do a lot of this, the research and the stories on this.
I was trying to get us back on track. Is what I was trying to do to save you, but yeah.
So I'm gonna admit I'm not sure who's telling the truth here about the data centers. I've heard and read stories about people whose water pressure in their community dropped because of all the water going to the data center. That was what they said. Who's telling the truth on some of these things, as far as you can tell in your research?
The people that I talk to, most people will say that it's likely that those that oppose these data centers are being influenced by China, who would rather not have us put together or the road to artificial intelligence superiority be made easy for us. One solution to these data centers that Elon Musk is having is he's putting them in space.
For the cooling.
Yeah. There's no need for water and all of the problems of in your backyard, and everything is solved by putting them in space.
How would those be powered? Just
sunlight, 24 hours a day.
Solar. Okay, so let me ask you this, because that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
So let me pick your brain a little bit about that. So how would the data be transmitted? It's just like via satellite, okay, up and down, like we do have satellites,
cell phones and such. Yeah,
and the speed of transmission is not significant?
He's not worried about it.
He's a smart
he's
guy.
not worried about it, the precursor to that, of course, is his cell phone. His what's it called?
I know. I can't think of the name of the
cell phone company that he has. He's put those in places that don't have, like in disaster areas where your infrastructure is out.
There's satellite.
Starlink. Sorry.
Yeah,
I looked at
so. I tend to think that the concerns over the data centers are a little overblown.
And it does seem to me that we're going to have to figure out a way. Data centers aren't going away.
You got to have computing power to put this.
It's one of those, the pros outweigh the cons by a good margin.
Yeah.
Your electric, let's just play this out. Let's concede and say your electric bill goes up. Okay, maybe it does, but then everything else is about to go down.
Yeah.
Because of the advancement of technology.
Yeah.
So.
And let me just say this too, a lot of the concerns are being played out on social media. I know on X, I can regularly find stories about these data centers and that what the government intends to use them for. And listen, The government has made its own bed in terms of people not trusting it. Now they have to sleep in it. So people, I've read about people saying this is for for digital currency and for tracking human beings and all that kind of stuff and keeping tabs on what you do, where you move. And I don't anymore just discount those concerns as tinfoil hat concerns. Again, because the government has proved itself untrustworthy under countless administrations, and so now the government has to deal with the fallout.
But the concerns have crossed political lines.
Yes.
It's not just Democrats, it's not just DSA people that are out there. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, in Texas, the governor there has put a moratorium, a block, a hold for now on development of future AI centers because there are certain cities, large cities, that are very concerned. These things do soak up a lot of energy. And so there's only a limited supply of energy.
Well, and also I'll tell you something else too. They require a fair amount of land.
Yes.
And there are concerns about the government using eminent domain to just buy up people's homes.
Which hasn't happened yet to this point. And also, tech companies are being given license to build their own power supplies. They're not drawing from the same power supply that your TV and your bedroom lights are coming from.
Is it true? I read that they're considering maybe like little mini nuclear power plants, or is there another form of power?
I've heard that. I don't know. I'm not up to date on where that argument stands.
Okay. All right. That's good. So this is part of your regular beat.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll turn to Steve Jordahl when we have questions about whether we should put on our tinfoil hat. Oh, let me just say this one other thing. I honestly don't understand how algorithms work when I'm online on the internet or when I'm using social media, because I started getting these kind of stories, I think in my Facebook feed or whatever, these people with these hats, these caps. You're supposed to put. Have you seen these?
No.
You put these caps on, and it's supposed to protect you from, this type of radiation or this type of signal. I guess it's just me. I have no idea why they're pointing these at me. I have no interest in it. But
they're listening to you right now.
The blank looks on your face.
I don't know.
This is apparently directed only at me. So I'll have to try to figure out why I'm in their crosshairs. All right. What else?
All right. So earlier this summer, Los Angeles had a mayoral primary, and Karen Bass was she was leading. There was a Democrat, another Democrat in the race, and then there was a Republican named Spencer Pratt.
Yes, I remember this guy.
Well, there was a polling company, a polling firm, and it was named Median Strategies that came out with some polls. And it came out with a poll that found that Karen Bass was leading in double digits, a 12-point lead in her race. Basically, it told Republican voters, don't bother to come out because Spencer Pratt has no chance. Well, it turns out that Median Strategies, all of a sudden, the Los Angeles Times does an investigation and finds out that it's not actually a polling firm. They say that they were conducting what they were calling a social experiment. They wanted to see if they could put some data out there, a poll out there, and who would pick it up. And so the news picked it up. Different companies picked it up. William LaJeunesse is talking about this. He explains a little bit about what's going on in Cut 15.
A legitimate-sounding company puts out a poll showing L.A. Mayor Karen Bass leads Councilwoman Rahman by 12 points. Well, that's plausible. But it also showed 85% of Spencer Pratt voters breaking for Bass. Well, that's insane. Most Pratt voters would rather walk through fire than vote for Bass. But the media loves polls. TV stations, social media, a major newspaper reported it. Hook, line, and sinker. Millions of voters believed one thing that was entirely fabricated. And when the LA Times called the polling company, it admits the whole thing was a hoax, saying, quote, Median Strategies was created as a short-term social experiment to examine how purported polling information could enter and spread through the political information ecosystem without independent verification. We're not seeking publicity or attribution for the individuals involved in our declining interviews.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about it.
Well, did they lie? It sounds like they lied.
Well, they're
the
spinning
suspicion
it.
the suspicion is that Democrats are behind this, and it was push poll put out there to discourage Pratt voters. And now that they've been found out, they're changing the tune, saying we were never really a polling firm. We were conducting a social experiment.
Yeah, that sounds like lying.
Yes,
That's a lot, doesn't it?
If your kid, you still have young kids, Wesley. If your kid, well, one of your children came and tried to spin what he or she had done in this way, you would say, no, that's a lie.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say, well, the only reason I took the cookies was I was conducting a social experiment to see how parents would react to the missing cookies. It wasn't that I wanted the cookies.
That's right.
Or that I enjoyed eating them. Fred, I was just talking about how government, we've talked about, we talked about COVID a couple of weeks ago, how the medical profession kind of, hurt themselves, shot themselves in the foot, if you will, in terms of the trust of the American people. Here's another example of institutions. I know they're saying they weren't a polling firm, but people don't pay attention to who the poll is conducted by. A lot of times they just think, oh, it's a polling firm. This is a scientific, sociological analysis of where people are. This kind of thing makes people trust polling as an institution even less.
Well, two things at work here. I think the liberal media would have loved this poll.
Yeah.
And they would want to put it out there because their candidate, Bass, is way out in front. And they didn't like the more conservative candidate.
Oh, they hated Spencer Pratt because of his powerful social media ads.
He did. So they jumped on this poll. I'm just thinking, having worked in the liberal newsroom environment many years ago, they jumped on this poll and celebrated it and wanted to put it out there without checking the source on this. The other thing in this, if it was, let's just believe this group for a moment, an experiment, then they should have come out within 24 hours and said, wait a minute, it wasn't a real poll. We were just experimenting to see how people responded to it. They should have gone public with this information. When did they go public with the information?
They were found out. They were investigated.
Okay.
They didn't.
I'm surprised. Was it the LA Times?
LA Times.
I'm surprised they took the time to investigate.
I'm not defending them. Their claim that they were trying to experiment to see, they would probably say we needed more than just 24 hours to see how this went. To me, the answer would be, the right approach would be, you don't do a political poll, do a poll on some other subject.
Yeah.
On people's views about climate change or this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
You don't use a topic that is likely to influence an election.
A very hot current topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, in November, Los Angelinos will be trying to elect a mayor, and they will have the choice between Rahman and Bass. And Spencer Pratt is nowhere to be found on the ballot because he lost in the primary.
Yeah. And listen, I will say this about City Councilwoman member Nithya Rahman. I do like her food. I do. Those noodles are just great. They do have a lot of sodium, but no, that may be ethnically wrong to do.
I thought it, but I had self-control there. I thought it.
When I saw that name, it's not even spelled the same. Her name is Raman, not En, like the delicious noodles. All right, I'm getting messages from my
You want me to help us out?
Huh?
You help us out here?
Yeah, go ahead. You want to move us along?
You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Next story.
Next story, Steve.
There's a bit of a scandal going on over in Great Britain right now, where every year the king, in this case now a king, it was Queen Elizabeth, issues what's called a sovereign grant report. Basically, it is the report the king or the sovereign over Great Britain is the head of the Church of England. And part of that tradition has been they are the defender of the faith. Well, in this year's Sovereign Grant Annual Report in June, they replaced the
title.
The title. In 2025 and 26, the grant said His Majesty is Supreme Governor of the Church of England and is head of the Church of England and defender of the faith. This last one says His Majesty is Supreme Governor of the Church of England and protects the space for faith within a multi-faith nation. Now, could it be that a growing Muslim population in England who's a little upset with wants to kind of control everything had some sway in this? Are they being deferential to Muslims?
Wesley?
The argument could be made.
Well, what do you think?
I read that last part again, or I will. This part right here protects the space for faith. What? Within the multi-faith nation? We could just not do that. You could just keep the original one.
Yeah,
this is not necessary.
This is cowardice in action.
Yes.
This is the coward's way out, precisely because of what you said, Steve. They didn't make this change to protect the feelings of whatever number of Hindus are in the UK, right, Fred?
That's right.
It's not for a few Taoists or Mormons that aren't in the Church of England.
I got a good one for you. It could say, head of the Church of England and defender of the faith. Oh, wait, that's what it said previously.
Yeah.
That was just fine.
How about defender of the faith against Muslim invaders?
Yeah. Oh, my word.
This is the difference. One of the differences between England and here. England is set up. There is no church-state separation. The state of England is the English church. It is the king is the head of the church.
Well, this may be part of the problem. Is that the Church of England, Fred? I will get your take now. I promise. The Church of England is. I'm not saying it's a lost cause, but it's getting pretty close to being so compromised theologically that there's hardly anything left to defend.
That's right. And it is all connected to what has happened in Britain, an invasion of Muslims.
Yeah.
And, we've done stories. There's great concern amongst some British people about what's happening there because now Muslims are mayors of several different cities, including the city of London.
Yeah.
Has a Muslim
Khan.
Yeah, has a Muslim mayor. So this is King Charles being extremely politically correct. He's head of the Church of England. If you want to be technical, it is a Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
Technical.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, not reality.
Yeah.
Christian church. So
it's our Episcopal church. It's the same.
Right. Yes. So he is to be the defender of that faith.
Yeah. He's the head of that church.
What he is elected to do is not so much anymore, folks. I'm going to defend everybody because everybody's okay in God's eyes.
Yeah.
Let's just face it. That's where he is in his thinking.
If you look back at the history of England and some of the for example, the fact that the Queen's sister, Queen Elizabeth's sister, wasn't allowed to marry a divorced man. It was because they're head of the Church of England, and the Church of England did not allow that at the time.
Right.
So they took this very seriously in the day.
Yeah. Well, the Episcopal Church, like you said, the Episcopal Church is part of that worldwide Anglican community headed up by the Church of England. And they are splitting, not only in this country, but there are conservative Anglican churches around the world. Go ahead.
I'll add this real quick. Political correctness is only tyranny with manners. Just remember that.
I like that. Did you come up with that? Or That's good.
The director of the Ten Commandments movie.
Yeah.
Forget his name.
Yeah, Cecil B. DeMille? The original?
The original one, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, the actor that played Moses.
Oh, Charlton Heston.
Charles Heston. He said that.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have. More great programming directly ahead on American Family Radio. Lord willing, we will see you right back here tomorrow.
Greece and Italy. We're going there.